If you've ever been super excited to trade earnings on Monday morning because it's one of the biggest weeks of earnings, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Great to see everybody. Got a little bit of a change up here today, but there's money to be made.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
Hello and welcome everybody back to another episode of Live Trading. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here this morning. Good morning, Rustam. Great of you to join us. Bryce, Bob, Ashan, Jane, Jonathan, Market Sniper, Amanda, Sebio, all of you, good morning. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. Now, today, we do not have our main man 13, but we do have our main man Zunaid.
What is up?
How are you doing, man? How was your weekend?
Weekend was great. Got some, I've started to watch Reba, which, I'm sure all of us know who Reba is. I may have mistaken her for a stand-up comedian, but that's a conversation for another time. But yeah, I've started to watch Reba this past weekend. It was good. It was fun.
Reba McEntire, the show Reba?
I don't want to. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that is a bit strange, but I'll say this. The last time that I went to my dentist's office, my dentist has each little place has like a TV right in front of you and then a TV on the ceiling. So when they put you back in the chair, you can, and Reba was on. So that was the first time I've ever seen that show. I didn't laugh much, but I know that there's it's pretty popular. So good luck. Let us know what you think of that.
I will. But no, the weekend was good. What about you, man? Get some golfing done?
I did. I actually played a Chevy Chase course that I've never played before, and it was awesome. So really good weather as well. But let's get to the market. Let's talk about what's going on this week. We've got kind of a lot going on. I'm going to start off here with the SPY. Zunaid, normally what we do is we talk about the SPY and some of the levels. If you have some, great. I'd be happy to go to you. If not, we can just go to the movers and then cover stocks that you're taking a look at. So whatever you want here today.
You got it.
No pressure at all. As far as the SPY here, we did trade up on Friday. I mean, really the big news of Friday was 3M. We talked about it a little bit in the morning. By the time the afternoon got around, 3M was moving so much I had to scout. That was really the only thing I could really find to play. I normally don't trade a whole lot on Friday, but got a couple of little scalps in there on 3M. Looking at the market here, though, we are gapping up a little bit, and you can see the trend line that we drew last week. We are still kind of holding that. So we actually had we're above the 50-day moving average. We actually had a close there on Friday. It looks like we're setting up for another close here today. Now, when we zoom in, you'll see that there's actually a little bit of like an upside gap right in here. It fills at about 553. If we take a look at the intraday chart, let's maybe go to a 15-minute so it's a little bit easier to see. Right in here, this spot right in here, we're going to see if we end up breaking out of that spot. Market looks like it wants to do it here today. We'll see what happens when the market is actually open. As far as the downside, I'm still going to be watching the trend line as well. Again, big thing here is I want to see closing candles above or beneath any of these levels. So that's kind of where we're at here with the SPY. Did you have any general thoughts on the SPY, Zunaid, before I move on to some of the movers?
Yeah, not necessarily on the SPY itself, but I mean, you've got the level of 548 is what I'll be taking a look at. Let me go and share my screen here.
Okay.
So we go ahead and come on down to this side of town, and you can see if we go ahead and take a look at what happened on the action on July 19th. You had this area here of 548 act as support. You bounce up. Then just a couple of days ago, sometime last week on Thursday, you tried to get above it, hit resistance. Try to get above it, hit resistance. Today in pre-market, hit resistance. So the area to watch for us, if you want to go to the long side, is going to be 458. You clear that, then you have an opportunity to knock on the door of 550. Otherwise, I do think we can get some downside movement. That's what I've got on ticker SPY.
Okay, really great stuff in there, Zunaid. Seems pretty straightforward here to me. Let's go ahead and break down some of the movers, and then I can't wait to see what stocks you have trade or setups for. Can't wait to run down that list here. So let me move really quickly through the movers. We actually don't have a ton here today. So we'll see what ends up materializing when the market opens. First one here is going to be Lipo. This is Lapella Pharmaceuticals, ticker LIPO. And we do have a catalyst here today. Oh, this is, why is that showing me Beamer's news? Give me one sec here. Huh. What happened here? Oh, did I click on the wrong stock? Yeah, it looks like I did. Sorry about that. That would be operator error, as they say. Lapella Pharmaceuticals indicates phase 2A trial for LP310 in oral lichen planus enrolls its first patients. Yeah, good luck there, Zunaid. Not sure on that one.
Yeah.
We have a biopharmaceutical stock. This stock was in penny territory. Be careful. Stock's up 220% here. Looks like they're kind of enrolling in the first patients. I would imagine that this is going to need cash as well. Look, they only have 2 million cash on the balance sheet, and they burn just about 2 million cash per quarter. So I would imagine that, if this stock really kind of holds some of its gains, a potential offering is in store here. But looking at LIPO here today, you can see we are moving pretty good. Stock was 40 cents last week, and it's $1.30. We're actually trading above $1.40 here today. So that's what's going on with LIPO. Ideally, for a trade here, let's move this thing back down to the VWAP. Let's not try to buy things that are running away 200+% in micro cap land here. So that's what's going on with LIPO. Next one here is going to be YIBO. So similar tickers, but a little bit different. That's always fun when that happens here. This stock, much different price. Stock was about $2 on Friday, traded above $6 here today. This one I have no news on. This looks like kind of just like a momentum play. If you guys find anything out there on FinTwit or anything like that, let me know. But YIBO does not look like it's got any news here today. If we take a look at the recent chart here, you can see this spike just kind of coming out of nowhere. So let's be very careful. We did lose the VWAP here. We tried to bounce back towards it. We could not recapture it, and we ended up moving lower. So Smoke Tuna, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, looking at you for telling us when the bottom intraday is in here and YIBO and whether or not that has a setup. Keep us posted on what you think there. Next one here, I know 13 is going to be disappointed because his ex-girlfriend is back yet again. Longeveron, this is ticker LGVN. This is back here with the catalyst. Longeveron shares trading higher after the company announced study results from the ClearMind phase 2A clinical trial of Lomacel B in mild Alzheimer's disease, meeting its key objectives to advance data supporting its favorable benefit and risk profile. If you actually dig into the press release here, it met its primary and secondary endpoint. Had a nice little pop here. Stock's up 19%. We actually talked about this the last time the stock popped. We talked about some of the data and what it would need going forward here. Looks like we're getting a good print here today with that data. You can see Longeveron did pop, and so far it's really kind of bled back. Now, it's done a really good job holding 4, so that's one of the things we're going to keep in mind during the regular session here. Would love to see if this could get back above the VWAP, maybe recapture that, and then make a move towards that $5 high. The last time we've traded Longeveron, I feel like this thing made a pretty substantial move, and you folks were all over it. So I would not be surprised to see that again here. Let's take a look at the daily chart and see. Yeah, here, this is when we traded it the last time. You can see it popped and it came back in. It didn't completely round trip, and now we're moving higher. So maybe things are kind of changing around here at Longeveron. If we do test that $5 level, I really do think that this consolidation area back from the beginning of this year could be in play. I would expect the stock to find some resistance there. So in terms of a plan, if we have a day trade here, I would say 5 or maybe a pop above 5 would be a really opportune spot based on the chart to start lightening some of that trade. If you think that this is something you want to keep around for a while because of the Alzheimer's disease treatment and all of that stuff, I would do that only with a trailer. Make sure you pay yourself on the way up there. Okay, next 3 that I really wanted to mention. Next one here is going to be Pally. This is Palisade Bio. You can see we've actually popped and dropped. We've already completely round tripped here on Pally. We did have a PR this morning, completes a microbiome study confirming bacteria enzymes for local bioactivation and lead product candidate. I actually have been reading and learning more about the microbiome recently. I'm curious to go through this. PR, I haven't done it yet. Didn't have time this morning to go through that. So that is something that I'll be looking to do. Would love to hear what you folks think of this one, especially if you're spending any of your time doing some of the due diligence on that. Would love to hear what you uncover here on Pally. Looking at the stock, though, really needs to start showing some strength, right? Like we got a nice little pop on a PR, but we gave everything back almost immediately. Let's firm up. Let's get some strength, and let's get a tradable bottom in there. That will determine whether or not we can have a trade here. Next one's going to be Beamer, and this is one that we've traded before. Ticker BMR, Beamer Imaging. We call it Beamer here. The stock popped as high as 620, came all the way back in. We've lost the VWAP, but so far we've done a really good job holding 5. I believe there was a news catalyst on here. Indeed. Beamer optimizes high-quality video on Oracle Cloud infrastructure using NVIDIA accelerated computing. Okay, so remember, we're getting NVIDIA thrown into this here. We've seen that really kind of drive some of these stocks before. We'll see if it does that here to Beamer. Beamer up 7.5%. So if this really gets rolling, we could have some more moves here today, especially just within the range that this stock put in the pre-market. We already ranged up to about 620. Stock's currently at 520, so got a full $1 of range there. All right, that should do it here. I'm noticing that CYTH is popping as I was talking. It's also dropping here, so maybe we got some news on this. Cyclotherapeutics announces notice of decision to grant European patent application for treatment of Alzheimer's disease from European Patent Office. So getting another Alzheimer's PR here. I would probably read through this one a little bit. The trading action has me a bit concerned, right? We popped and completely round tripped that real fast. We'll see if this moves here with Longeveron, but I want a chance to read through that. The only other thing I wanted to mention here, Bitcoin names are up as Bitcoin traded above 70,000 over the weekend on the futures here, still holding above 70,000, 70,745. The Bitcoin futures chart, that's causing a lot of the Bitcoin names to move here. That's going to be Riot, CLSK, IREN, which we talked about last week. That one's moving here. I was able to actually pay myself on that one. Be looking at that again here today. So the Bitcoin names are up. And then also Serve Robotics. We talked about this one a lot last week. This gave us a number of ways to, or a number of trades last week. On Friday, it did run to 16, came back in here, but it looks like it's trying to curl up and make a move through 14. Maybe we see 15 here today. So Serve might also be on deck. All right, Zunaid.
All right.
I'm all set. You're up.
So cool. A couple of things. I think someone asked earlier where to go. They asked Keith, what day and time do Matt Maley and Nick Shaheen poke their heads? I believe I know the answer, but Ryan, you're the man that leads the charge, especially with Nick Shaheen.
Yeah, so Matt Malley is Mondays, right? Matt is Mondays at 10 a.m. We should have him here today. Now, Nick normally is Tuesday. I have had trouble scheduling that recently, but let me see if I can reach out to him today and put something on the schedule. If so, I'll go ahead and update you on that tomorrow. But normally it's Tuesday for Nick.
Perfect. And then Monday for Matt, so he will be joining us here today at 10 o'clock. Let's go ahead and take a look at PayPal. Someone mentioned, I don't think it can get beat up anymore. Well, I mean, we love our whole numbers here. So that $50 mark in October of last year was a solid spot, went up about 40% or so, and now it's kind of right back trying to find a little bit of support around this area, which it's had success finding support. Let's put it right there of about 57. You're kind of right around that area. So if you're looking for a trade, I think the closer you get to 57, the better. You're currently at about 58, 51. So you're risking about $2. Maybe you get back to knocking on the door of 60s or even 62s. If it's a long-term play, I would say you start accumulating here, maybe say 25%. If it goes lower to say 52, you get another 25%. If it gets to 50, then you load up another 50%. And my stop loss would be about $5 lower is how I would go ahead and personally play this on ticker PYPL. Someone mentioned AAPL, so let's go ahead and rock that. Let's see what we got. On AAPL. That 200, did it ever completely come in and retest? No, it didn't. Once it popped, it just kept on going on AAPL. I'm not exactly sure how I would play this one. You do have, obviously, you have this area that held on a support twice now. So we can draw our pretty little lines there. So you had it hold up a support at the July 2nd date, and then you had it on just last week. So if that area holds a support, great. I think if you go ahead and crack about 220 or so, you can take a shot at knocking on the door of 225.50. But besides that, I'm not really sure how I would play Apple, ticker AAPL. Also, keep in mind that they do report earnings on August 1st, which, by the way, I believe I mentioned this last time we were here. We are going to have a special earnings showcase for Apple. It'll be Mitch and I, obviously, always. Ryan, you and 13 are happy to join us, or welcome to join us. 3:30 to 4 o'clock, Mitch and I will talk about stocks and all that stuff, as it'll be a Trade the Pool sponsored earnings show for ticker AAPL. So fun stuff coming up there. Taking a look at Tesla, I think it was the, 226 level here. You can see we had resistance a couple of days ago. You also had it during pre-market on Friday, and now we'll see if we can go ahead and crack above that. And we also have this trend line that we're tracking from just a couple of days of action on that. Let's see what we got on AMD. Ever since it kind of broke 150, it's just been to the downside itself. Looking to find a little bit of support at the 136. Obviously, today it's bouncing a few bucks above that. 142.50 is where you might want to pay attention to. You had support, resistance, 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 and now we see what happens. But we're also knocking higher and higher, right? So you have higher highs every single time you're trying to knock down this wall of 143. So if you want, you can set an alert there. Speaking of alerts, let me mute my tab so we don't get that noise. You know, I was
looking forward to the fire alarm.
I think one we can have happen. I think one's okay. Speaking of fire alarm, I'm hanging out. I think it's Saturday night at my place, and something just makes noise. It's just some type of random tune that's happening, almost as if like someone was getting a text message and then a noise was being created. And I'm freaking out because I live by myself. I don't know what's happening. And first thought was that it's a smoke detector. It's a smoke alarm that's making its way. It's not. It was I figured it out yesterday because I was brave enough to go to my living room. But it was the tile, how it tracks the location or whatever, like the tile little thing. That was making noise because it was out of battery. So anyway.
Okay. So it was the same thing. It was a battery indicator. I don't know what this tile tracking thing is. I generally don't let tracking devices into my home.
Yeah. It's like for people like me who like lose their wallet, keys, life.
Passion, like
projects.
AirTag type thing.
Correct. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The tile tracker. Yeah. That's what was making noise. And I was like, that makes sense. All right.
So you know what's interesting about that? First of all, I do have a thought on a potential PayPal trade, which we'll get back to here. But what's interesting about that is that one of those trackers, like let's say one of those trackers, someone stole your stuff and it's got one of those trackers in there, and the tracker battery is about to die. It's gonna alert the thief that, hey, this thing's beeping and you might want to get rid of this. You better get on that. If something gets stolen, you better go ahead and get that back before that thing dies.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, okay, here's the bad part. It's still in a package for the past 7 months. That's why the battery died. I haven't really used it. So there's that. NUZE.
Take that.
Yeah. $5 is where I'd look to play this. If it cracks 5, I'd be interested. You can see from a few days ago of trading, you had that as resistance. We'll see if it goes ahead and holds up as resistance. Again, when we try to crack above it, set an alert there. If you want to go ahead and play NUZE, that's how I would do it. And of course, you also wanted to clear this area of 430. So if you wanted to get in about 100% or so, you can go ahead and try to see if you want to go ahead and get 100% of your position, maybe start nibbling when it breaks about 430, about say maybe 25, 50%. Have that play up to $5, and you can go ahead and take your profits at 5 because you're expecting some resistance there based on the previous area that you look at from a couple of days ago. And then once it cracks that, you can go ahead and get a little bit of movement. All right, let's see what else we've got. Any other stocks and tickers that you guys want us to take a look at?
Yeah, let me quickly talk about PayPal while people throw some more tickers in there. I heard the tail end of the discussion here about PayPal. One thing to remember is we actually had an inverse head and shoulders setup here that was recently negated by this move back down. Now, what has happened here is that this ended up creating a double bottom, right? This move back down here to about 57 ends up creating a double bottom. And this support area goes pretty much all the way back to the beginning of this year and was also a consolidation area for the end of last year. So I actually think that PayPal's at a pretty good spot here in terms of a support level. I'd say for a long side trade here, what I would use as a total stop out here would probably be this $50 level, maybe 50-50 here. And then if we zoom in, a potential long side trigger is going to be what's going to happen here when we get this convergence of these two moving averages, right? So we've got the 50-day and the yellow line. Got the 200-day on the blue line. I'm curious to see what happens. Do we actually get that death cross that we talk about? And if we do, this stock, I think, goes lower. But depending on the earnings that we get tomorrow morning, it's possible that this stock actually pops and then reclaims some of these moving averages. And I think that if we did that, we might have a potential for a risk-on swing trade here. So I don't have a play for this for earnings. I'd really like to see how this finishes up tomorrow in terms of the actual daily candle close and see where we're at. PayPal, don't necessarily take this one off your screen. There could very easily be a long side trade in here. Robert saying 100% agree in PayPal. Good pre-earnings play. So it looks like, Robert, you're actually going to try to play this for earnings. Be interesting to see what kind of price you can get on some of those options there. Good IV and Greeks too. Bang. Robert, appreciate you looking out on that. So there you go with PayPal here. This one is interesting to me. Zunaid, did you have anything else, or did you want to take one of these from the chat here? We can do that. Looks like
we got
a couple here. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying what we got. We got CYTH. I can take a
now CYTH. Remember, that was going to be on the list from the movers. We just talked about that a second ago, if I'm not mistaken. Did that go all the way back in? Here, let me bring that back up here. Let me make sure I'm talking about the same stock, because there was one. Yeah, see, that stock popped on news right as I was doing the rundown, and then immediately reversed and went negative now. Stock's actually down almost 2%. This is going to be application for a treatment of Alzheimer's disease from a European patent office. So remember, this is just the application. I don't even think there's news here. That's what's going on with CYTH. But I'd love to hear about a trade setup that you might have on this.
Yeah, I don't think I have a big one. It's just the level of 108 that is currently holding on as support. So that's something I'd kind of keep in mind. And of course, right below that, you have about 86 cents. But I'd say 108, a buck is where I try to play this, but it's also not a ticker that I typically play. So me personally, I won't be keeping an eye on it. But for the who asked in the chat? Gerard in the chat. Jared, excuse me. Thank you. Keep an eye on that level of 108, $1, and then maybe if it gets to like 95, 94 cents, I would get out. But again, not a ticker I play often, not something I'm familiar with. Let's go ahead and take a look at DEC. As they did go ahead and report earnings on Thursday, and let's see what type of price action we've got. Not really anything that I personally see I could go ahead and play. You've got resistance of about 920 maybe, and you can wait for it to crack above that, but unfortunately not something that I'm seeing clearly, so I'd rather not force a trade just for fun. Taking a look back at Tesla here for the folks that may have missed it, you've got 226 is what we said. It was resistance. So you can see you had resistance on Wednesday, resistance on Thursday, resistance on Friday. Now we're going to go crack above it. As we continue to crack on that 226 level, you also are going to chew up more of those orders and have a better chance of going higher and higher. Now, you also do have higher highs coming up from the past few trading sessions as well. So keep an eye on Tesla. 226, set my alerts there in case it pops above. Maybe if it starts to base right above it as well, and maybe has a test right back to that level, I would look at getting long there with a target of about, call it 330 or so.
Tesla literally breaking out as you're talking about it, Zunaid. I think you might be the good luck charm for Tesla.
Well, let's see. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully it doesn't fake people out and come right back in. That would be kind of bad. But yeah, that's what you've got there. Let's see. There are about 2 minutes left till the opening bell. Let's see.
We got a couple
NVIDIA. What's up? Go ahead.
I was just going to say here, Smoke Tuna was mentioning BCRX with the eyeball emoji. So generally speaking, that's a good sign. That is trading up here. Did we have any news on this? I don't see any fresh news here on BCRX. We are trading up here in the pre-market. Looks like there's some that was from the after hour session. So let's see what happens out of the open here on BCRX. Good morning, yacht insurance guy in Florida. You love that. AVTR being mentioned here by Robert. This is actually still holding from Friday. We'll see if we break out and maybe go a little bit higher here. Then I have some penny stocks on the scanner here. NLSP trading up right ahead of the open here. LPTV, Loop Medicine, that has a pretty big range carved out. Tivik TIVC, another penny stock. So got some penny stocks here on the list. Jay Harris asking about SoFi. SoFi reports earnings tomorrow before the open. I know a lot of people trade SoFi here. Love to hear what you folks are thinking about on this one. Maybe we can break above 8 with that earnings tomorrow. I have no position on this one, but I'm curious. I'm curious to know how you folks are playing SoFi. I know this is a highly followed stock around.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks have been holding on to SoFi for quite some time. By the way, on NVIDIA ticker NBDA, taking a look at the 116.67 level, call it 117 if you want. Got an alert set there in case we do go ahead and pop above, as that's been resistance, which was support, turn into resistance. We'll see what ends up happening on that one. And what is up, aka Jay Walker from Twitch? Good day to you as well.
Absolutely love it. We are open here. And as a reminder, folks, the stream is sponsored by Trade the Pool. So if you need prop firm access, help given above the 25K threshold, or just need more dry powder, check them out. Love those guys. They sponsor our stream here. All right, let's get down to brass tacks here. Sounds like I just heard an alert. You're already alerting folks. Let's go.
You did. Yep, you did hear that right. I will turn it off. But you got Tesla now. Looking to get above that 226 level. It has looking to go higher, but you can always kind of get faked out and come right back up. So if you are trading this, be patient. It's just a first minute. We've got such a long day to go. The market will always be here. Matter of fact, I think the market isn't close. It's not allowed to close 3 days in a row or something like that.
Couple of things.
4 days in a row.
First of all, your alert is so timely. I actually think I really like it on. I don't think you need to turn it off. It's certainly not distracting me. And it's alerting me to potential plays as well. So,
sometimes people get upset in the chat. Someone already said I can't share stories. So, it's fine.
Wait, someone said you can't share stories? What?
Nah,
your stories are awesome.
That's what I'm saying.
Part of the reason I'm here is for those stories, to be quite honest with you.
Nah, it's always good. So, we try to accommodate the chat, listen to their feedback. But here's the thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You got Tesla, cracked above the 226. Like we said, it may go ahead and fail and come right back, but we'll be patient with it. We'll give it some time. We'll put it on our radar. Chat always lets us know how it reacts as well. Take a look at the ES as that's going to come back and test possibly the 5,500 level. We actually played this on Futures Fever on Wednesday and made about $300. People are saying SGMO.
Yeah, that's moving up here. By the way, Beamer made a move right out of the open towards his VWAP. SGMO, this did go above its pre-market high here. We'll see what happens when it gets up to 113. That was the high from Friday on SGMO.
Beautiful test. This was, did lovely here. SGMO, $1, came back, tested it. You also had the VWAP there. Beautiful play. If you go ahead and played that one, you just got 10% gains. Now you're looking to break the 114, which was the high on Friday. Knocking on the door of that 114. Trying to eat up the orders on the ask there.
I think I know what you just said, but I'm just going to move on just in case. Jay, welcome back. It's great to see you. Hopefully your week was gone. What did we do? Well, I'll tell you what, this was a 13 special. There were a number of people watching ASTS as that thing continued to ramp last week. We'll see here where this goes next. Joe Madden, do I get out? We cannot tell you how to invest or trade, my man. You are going to have to do that on your own. We are not licensed and cannot give you financial advice. Sorry, my dude. Jay, would love to hear where you think ASTS goes from here. That thing's kind of a wild one. Smoke Tuna bringing up LGVN. That's actually selling off here, maybe at a potential bounce spot here. Smoke Tuna, what do you think? Try some here. Maybe add at 350.
Yeah, 356.
So he's looking for a little bit more to the downside here.
Yeah, I'd say about 356 or so is where I'd look to play that one.
This looked like a possible support from pre-market on LGVN. We'll keep that 350 spot crispy.
By the way, if folks see me stretching my mouth, it's because the Invisalign's making me have a lisp, so I have to work a little bit harder to not have a lisp and loosen up my mouth a little.
Hey, so what do you think of that Invisalign? Did you like it? Do you think it helps? Is it
I think it's helping. I think it's helping. And I'm gonna take a look at AMD here. I think it's helping. It also helps me kind of not snack throughout the day. So good habits hopefully are being created. Tomorrow I might actually trade from my walking pad, but we'll see how it all plays out in me losing weight. But I like it. It's helping me out.
Okay.
It's got its challenges for sure. It gets a little bit, it takes time to get used to it. AMD, you're making higher highs from the past couple of days. You also have resistance of 142.49 that you've cleared here by 50 cents. See how it kind of plays out. Maybe if it gets a retest, I'd be interested. You're risking about $1 maybe on the trade itself. Let's go back to Tesla and see if it's keeping itself above the 226. It is. You're about $2 away. You're $2 from that resistance point of 226 that it went ahead and broke again. No trade for me, just because you never know if it's going to come back and fail, and I wasn't too keen on trying that. Go back to, what was it? SMGO? What was it? It was, what was that ticker? SGMO, excuse me. All right, cool. So you went to $1 to test it. Then you went to 114. You broke that resistance, went all the way up to about the 121s. And now let's see how it wants to behave from there. Wouldn't be surprised if it comes back to test this 114. Again, not something here. Let me see. Yeah, not a trade I'm going to take right off the bat. Not at all, actually. Your kids use Invisalign, it works well? Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I asked you that is because my buddy is the son of a dentist, and they swore by Invisalign, and I just wanted to make sure I was getting an unbiased opinion there.
Yeah,
but
I like it.
It seems pretty universal across the board.
I like it. I like it. It takes some use to getting used to, but, you know, I can kind of see impacts and effects already. But, yeah, as long as you kind of maintain cleaning it and all that, you should be good. You had SGMO that went ahead and tested VWAP around 108 and popped right back up for 5 cents or so. Again, not a ticker that I'm trading, but you guys are in the chat, so figured I'd mention it. YIBO also being mentioned in the chat.
I tried to take a little bit of Longeveron and forgot to adjust my position size, so I bought a whopping 3 shares. I'm a whale out here with 3 shares.
Nice.
So I'm actually just kind of holding that. It's going to force me to watch on it. Hopefully this does pull down to 350 and we end up getting an opportunity there. At that point, I'd have no excuse because I'd be long 3 shares and I'm watching it. So we'll see here, but that's basically all that's going on so far. I did take a look at SMR, which is moving down right out of the gate here. Also want to take a look at NVIDIA. I know that this is a real popular stock. My feed's a little bit slow here this morning, Zunaid, so I'm sorry.
I've got it up. You're good. I've got a halt down. Not a halt down, excuse me. I've got a movement to the downside of about 10.25. With $10 is always a good area to kind of find some support. It did on Friday. We'll see if that support area holds. If you wanted to risk about 50 to $1 on this one, I think you start nibbling here at about 10.26. But if it goes ahead and breaks this low, about 1071, call it 945, I would go ahead and get out of SMR personally if I did go in to get into this trade around this area.
Tesla here with this pop up has now entered that gap on the daily chart. We'll see if that fills. That is up to about 246. Tesla currently at 230 here. So we'll see if Tesla gets rolling on that. That first move up here into the gap.
The gap close
a little
is
bit.
what?
Serve curling a little bit. Sorry.
Now you're good. I've got the Tesla gap at, what is that? 245 area, 256 maybe?
Yes, sir.
246, excuse me. Coin popping. We can take a look at coin. But matter of fact, let me take a look back at NVIDIA to see how that one's behaving. All right, look, you're going to approach this 117, which again has been resistance for quite some time. So let me go and delete that so you can properly see it. Matter of fact, let me take VWAP off itself as well. But you've got that 117 area. Let's see if it continues to hold as resistance or if we go ahead and knock and break through it. That's going to be something to keep an eye on. Talking about coin, ticker COIN. Did a 250? Nope, it didn't hold. It went a couple of bucks below, but you did have support. So this area that was resistance is now acting as support, which is about the 249 area on Coinbase. See if that ends up holding. If you, I wouldn't get in here. This is kind of like no man's land, but the closer you get it to 249, the better. Stop loss for me about 247 or so. Take a look at ZIM.
Ooh, Zim. We haven't looked at Zim in a while. Dan Zimmerman. I'm not surprised. That's all we needed was Dan Zimmerman to show up, and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, not familiar with this one, but if you take a look left, you've got 1860 that's acted as support many, many times, and it continues to do just that. So if you're looking to go long, you got to break the 1860 in my opinion.
Yeah, and remember, Zim, that's also going to be one of those shippers there. Zim, highly affected by the Drury shipping rate, so you want to keep your eye on that. Looking at the chart here, we are below the 50-day moving average at 1964. If we take that out, I think this probably does trade towards the highs around 23, 24 bucks on Zim. So this is one that we've been watching quite a bit. We'll we'll continue to do that here. Longeveron moved down to that 360 level. I know you guys were talking about this being a potential. Oops. Oh wait, let me figure this out here.
You're good.
Now I understand. There we go. So here's yours. So
I'll
all you
take mine
have
away.
to do now. Yep. All you have to do is this.
Cool.
Look at this.
Got it.
Boom,
Perfect.
boom, boom. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So here is Longeveron. So we came into that 360. I know that you guys were talking about a potential 350 spot here. We'll see on Longeveron. Added a little bit here, but really only at 100 shares. I actually like to get a little bit more along this for a potential bounce. You guys are also mentioning Yibo as a halt here. This is one from the list. So we were halted to the upside and halted just shy of that pre-market high here. Had that at 642. So good stuff here on Yibo. I would, if you're in on that curl there, it'd probably lighten a little bit when this comes out of halt. LIPO is also halted. That was the other one that had a similar ticker. No, this is open now, I believe. Let's see, though. Yeah, so this was halted earlier. I beg your pardon. So this one now open, coming back into the VWAP. All right, let's go back to Longeveron here. So that is bouncing off that 360 spot, back now here at 380. Unfortunately, pretty small position here, but the bounce is looking all right. Let's see what else you folks are taking a look at. BMR, so that did go towards the VWAP and through. Looks like it's kind of sitting there now. News. NUZE news. Watch for this to break the high from Friday. That also was the pre-market high on Friday. Looks like we tested that there, but couldn't hold above it. 440's got a little bit of size, but nothing that can't fall. What else, you folks? So you guys are all looking at some of these smaller stocks. BMR, Beamer seems to be the popular one. Let's see if this goes through VWAP here.
By the way, LGBN holding the area of 346 and kind of continuing to attempt to bounce, see if it gets back above 4 or not. Going back to Tesla here as we're 4 minutes away from this 5-minute candle closing above unless something crazy happens. And then you've also got AMD that's looking to make its way much higher as it did go ahead and break the 142 level. Also went ahead and broke the pre-market highs of about 143. And now it's $1 above that. See if they go ahead and come back and retest the 142.50 area themselves or not. Take a look at NVIDIA as well. Did that break through its resistance point? Not just yet. 116.67. Still on watch for me on that one. SGMO. Oh, look at that. Just straight downside after it went ahead and found resistance at 121. Didn't even wait to go ahead and stay a support of 114 as that was previous resistance, just straight to the downside, back at $1. That is just an ugly, ugly wick on the 15-minute. Be careful if you are trading that one. COMM above $2. Again, these smaller names, unfortunately, I don't trade them, but you do have resistance at 220. Not something I would trade. Maybe if you get it closer to $2, cool. Stop loss would be about 20 cents. So 118, I would go ahead and get on out of there on that one.
Beamer just kind of holding in here. We'll see if that ends up moving. It looking like it wants to go here on BMR. Looking like it wants to go higher. I am all kinds of struggling with my ticker entry in here.
You're good.
ENVX is cruising. Let's take a look at ENVX. This one, big time shout out to Zoltan, who had been kind of researching this one for a while. This is one that Zoltan follows. Don't necessarily see a great trade entry here yet, but we'll check on that. ON, you guys want to take a look at? That's on semiconductor. That's moving higher here. So it looks like some of those semi names. How's AMD doing? Here's NVIDIA. See what I mean about my feet? I feel like it's just kind of taking a little bit here. NVIDIA strong out of the gate. AMD strong out of the gate, and Apple kind of turning around. I know that was a little weak in the pre-market, but that going green here. So tech seems to be good so far. Where's the SPY at? SPY came in from that open. Let's see if we can get above that triple top that we've kind of made. Amanda saying people are starting to forget Crowd, and the options chain is starting to look interesting. Crowd here, the one thing I will say, Crowd really does seem like it's kind of formed this bottom between 250 and 260. It sure looks like that's the case. We'll see if this kind of curls back here. I think now after the disaster that they had, I think you've probably given this enough time where if you want to play this to the upside, this makes a lot of sense. you're going to use options, you should be able to define your risk ahead of time. So I really like that play. If you're going to use stock, remember, this could just be kind of a regression back to the mean bounce. Please have a plan in case it doesn't work for you. Ideally, though, looking at this chart, would love a curl back up towards that 200-day at 292. That's 30 points away from where we're at now. So, Amanda, if you trade this using the options, I'd be curious to know how you set that trade up here. And this also might be one to ask about Anne-Marie. I know we talked with Anne-Marie right when the CrowdStrike stuff happened, but maybe there's a new setup now that we can ask. We'll do that.
You've got here, let me go ahead and put this up
Sure.
just a little bit on the CrowdStrike. I've got about that 250 level, and what a beaut that's been in terms of holding on to support. Let me go to maybe the 30-minute. We can see a little bit clearly. Look at that, just lovely hold at 250 on Thursday. Tried to test it again. It was about $1.32 away from testing exactly 250. Holds up. Now you're 12 bucks above. So just a lovely little bounce there from that. What is that about? Maybe 5%, 3%. Of a move. No, I'm sorry. I didn't go all the way. There you go. 5% of a move from that 350 or 250 levels. So nice little move there. Let's see what's going on. Disney. Boy, this thing has just been ugly. Matter of fact, 89s, I think, was the COVID lows. No, it was 80s. Excuse me. It was around the 80s. Let me go to move this up down a little bit there.
Really quick, Zunaid, just so you're aware of our kind of thought here on the show, we're still thinking Disney is a short, and a move down to 80 is probably the play here.
Yeah. Well, if you do go ahead and crack above this 92 area, 91.68, if you do go ahead and crack above that, maybe you have a chance to close the gap at 93.50. So something to just keep in mind, keep it an eye on. If you do go long Disney, that's maybe a possibility that you can have, or ends up being that 91.68 is resistance, right? So however you want to play, depending on how the days close, the candles and all that fun stuff, what story is being told in the markets, we can go ahead and have that play. Lynn, Lynn has a question if you want to address this one, Ryan.
We are curious to hear if Anne-Marie will be using your new options trading tool. I don't think so, because I haven't given Anne-Marie any lesson or anything on that. Lynn, what I might try and do is I might try and play around with it myself and see if I can or set up some of her trades within that tool, because I do think that tool's visualization really, really helps, especially for those that are learning multi-leg options trades. Thinkorswim sometimes, as powerful as it is, can sometimes muddle it up, make it a little bit more difficult to understand. So that's kind of a work in progress here. I would not expect her to use that out of the gate, though. She's going to stick to using what she's used to.
I'm going to pro and see what this thing is about.
Yeah. So real quick, we had Abdul and Luis on Friday, and we will have them back too. Zunaid, just to kind of give you some background here, we've had a number of people asking us to put options chains in pro. I know you and I both kind of use options chains within our broker, but nice to have that information in pro. And the Sense and Market tool also kind of explains some of the different option trading strategies. And how they're used. So it's a helpful tool. We'll see if that proliferates here.
All right, cool.
On move really helping the semis, says Jay. Jay, are you still in that INDI one, that little semi that you gave the group a long time ago? INDI, that is the name. That is actually moving up here too, possibly with that ON move. Let me know if you're still in that one.
Is it or is it just one ON?
No, I screwed that up. It's ticker ON. That was the one that was mentioned in the chat. That's the one they're talking about. I screwed it up.
No, you're good. You're good. So ticker ON on semiconductor, 7740 was the previous resistance. It's I don't really know. I don't have a clean way to play this one, but you did have a beautiful support here at 66.75. So something to keep in mind there if you do go back and test that level. But yeah, I don't maybe not something clean enough for me to personally play, but it's definitely a nice little move to the upside. No question, no denying that itself. Good morning. Let's see. Nice profits to start out the day. That's what we love to hear.
Love it, Chris. Chris has been on one too recently. Just been absolutely destroying it every day too. Every day. Tesla, by the way, continuing to move towards the highest. Longeveron really hasn't bounced yet. Let's see if it gets to that 350 there. Put a little green on the screen, but that wasn't even really a trade. That might as well have been flat.
Is that the one with your accidental 3 trade shares?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I just kind of we'll close it out. I actually added 97 to make it an even 100, then took some gains on it. But I mean, that's basically I'm not even sure that gets you a Big Mac meal from McDonald's. So, looking at PayPal though here, PayPal, this looks like this is still kind of holding right at even. It looked like this was trying to go up. We'll see if PayPal gets rolling here. Not yet. AEHR, KB, that was a really, really good trade. That's my last earnings trade that I've made was AEHR. It was a pretty big winner. This is interesting here. So real quick, let me get you my better chart here on AEHR because I think we might have a setup here. Real quick, check this out. So AEHR, we had that earnings pop. We really kind of came back in. We really filled the gap all the way back down to the top end of that range. And now here we've reclaimed the 200-day. So let's take a look here on AEHR and see where this candle closes. The last couple of times we've broken above this 200-day. Look, we got the close right here. The very next day, stock got absolutely slammed and closed right on it. All right. And we've kind of been riding that down. Let's see if things change here. AEHR. Take a look at this chart again, even if it's only on your watch list. Take a look at this chart again near the close here today, and let's watch it again tomorrow. In fact, let me add this to my notes list real quick. EHR. Okay. We'll check in on this one here tomorrow. See if it actually gets rolling here today, too. I don't know, though. DX, sorry, Zunaid, I feel like I've interrupted you 3 times here. DXCM, this was one that we saw last week, really fell out here. This is a diabetes treatment. We talked about possibly semaglutides, really kind of taking a chunk out of this. Obviously, diabetes was a comorbidity for COVID. DXCM bouncing here a little bit today, although it seems to be slowing down. I'd be careful with this one for just kind of like a regression back to the mean bounce. I'm not sure how well that's going to hold up.
I'm going to go ahead and get some AMD calls here. I'm just waiting for my platform to load up any moment now.
Cool. Right. And I'll answer this question while you're waiting here. Mark's asking, where do you find the new options tool? Mark, here I'm sharing my Benzinga Pro screen. This is the new workspace builder. Whenever you click the plus button, you're able to build a new workspace. If you scroll down, it's called Sensa Market. And if you launch that, this will effectively launch an options chain right here in Pro. And you can also kind of build out different option chain or option strategies using some of the strategy selectors on the side. So here you go, Mark. It's called Sensa Market right from that tool there.
All right. I went ahead and got some AMD calls expiring August 2nd, 142 calls executed at 667. 667. My stop loss will be about $150 or so per contract. We will give it till about, call it the 141 break or so. What I want to see is you had this level that was resistance. We cracked above it. We're retesting on the 15-minute. I would like for it to hold and kind of bounce right back up to the 144s, and maybe we can go ahead and take off at least one. I got 2 contracts. I'm going to take at least one off if we get back to the 143 here. As a matter of fact, I must set a little bit of alert, so just let me know when that happens. My alert, wow, I've got 2,000 alerts in this. All right, remove all inactive.
At least you're using them. I mean, look, Anne-Marie swears by using alerts for her butterfly strategies. So you're doing something with that the pros do, Zunaid. I don't think that's a bad sign at all.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. All right, so AMD, let me go ahead and quickly just put this up here.
COM, by the way, I think Smoke Tuna mentioned COM earlier. That did bust its intraday high here. Amanda saying, Rye, were you on Trader Talk twice last week? Wow, your office must smell of rich mahogany. I am always here for Anchorman quotes. Just FYI, if you're quoting Anchorman, Seinfeld, or really any of those classic movies, I am all about that, and I am here for that. Yes, I was on twice. I'm always going to be on Thursday, but they're also starting a Friday at the close show, which is pretty cool. Sorry about that. Pretty cool. I was on there. Won't be on this Friday because I've got a golf trip with the boys.
Nice.
Thank you, by the way, Zunaid, for helping me out with that.
Yep. I will be here on Friday, and we'll have some things going on to make sure the show is still on the road. I'm still just kind of watching AMD, waiting for it to get back up. I need it to move up about maybe like another 75 cents or so would be great. Please. Where is my refresh quote? Man, maybe I should have just gotten into the stock itself.
So here, I'm going to take another question here. Just give me a sec to load up the chart. I see your question out there. I ain't leaving you hanging. Don't you worry about that. Okay. And Zunaid, if you need to get in here and interrupt me, please feel free to do so. James, you're asking, Ryan, thoughts on Intel. So this is an interesting one. Intel, I do believe that when Intel really kind of gets hammered enough, this does mark a great buy. I know we talk a lot about NVIDIA and Taiwan Semiconductor really kind of owning the chip space is more kind of like the legacy chips. I still think there's a trade here. Now, the last time that this was a pound the table buy, stock was at 25 and we doubled from there. And shout out to the happy hour crew because they were the ones that actually got me on that train in the first place. We're able to make some money off of that. However, where we're at right now, I actually think this is a pretty decent setup. If you like Intel for the long term, and that's how I would play this would not be any type of day trade or shorter term trade. This would be a longer term trade, and I would have my risk set accordingly for that. If I was looking at a trade for that, I'd probably look at maybe this 27 as a potential stop, or I would just scale in a little bit and really kind of watch that 25 level, right? I mean, we're at $31 here. So if you are starting like kind of a starter position here, a $6 stop to the downside, not terrible. In a couple of years, though, I think this stock could easily be above $50. I know AMD seems to be eating their lunch right now, but this goes back and forth. This changes in this one. So I like Intel for a long term, but I think you got to be really, really patient about this. This is not a stock that you should chase, and you should absolutely be buying weakness on this name, not the other way around. The stock is going to trade a lot differently than something like an NVIDIA or TSM or even AMD in some cases. So be very, very patient with this one. I'd like this a little bit lower. If this came in beneath 30 and really kind of came to 30 and really tried to hold this level, sure, I might try nibbling on this one a little bit. You're welcome, James. Hopefully that was helpful. I still think there are trades in some of these legacy names, even if they're not the most popular ones. You just got to be a little bit more tactical about it. Micron, sorry, real quick, just to kind of answer Carmen there. Micron, that one totally different, right? Micron, we've seen make some pretty substantial moves. Here is Micron right now. This actually looks like this wants to trade higher here. I'm not overweight in these chip names. I want to see where this rotation kind of settles out.
All right, you've got Tesla that did go ahead and break the 230 area, but it's coming up right back down by about 50 cents or so. Still kind of, let's see if it wants to retest at 226. If it does, I think that's an interesting place to go long, and you can have a stop loss below, I would say about maybe 224.50 or so. So you're risking about $1.50 on that trade. But again, it has to come back and test those levels. Speaking of testing those levels, you had AMD that did, but it hasn't quite bounced as much as I would have liked for it to. Go to the 5-minute, you can see the bounces have kind of been weak. I'm waiting for it to get all the way back up to the 143.72s. We are in this trade on the August 2nd, 142 calls, got in at approximately 667, 2 contracts, but currently we're just basically flat as we're figuring out what to do here. I want it to move up to the upside by about another $1, and I can take one of the 2 contracts out. SGMO. So that one went below $1. Now, to me, this is a short as long as it stays above, as long as it stays below $1. Stop loss for me, if you do go short, would be about 106. So 107, I would go to get out. You're risking about 10 cents on that one. Thoughts on TNDC? Okay.
Serve, by the way, popped from the VWAP to the highs here, not halted, but Serve getting some action here, folks. CRV.
Asen, I think, you meant TNDM. Okay, got it. Tandem Diabetes Care, not a ticker I'm familiar with, not a stock that I have traded, so I don't have much insight on that one. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe 35, maybe like 34 area he holds a support, but unfortunately I'm not familiar with it, so I'm not gonna pretend like I have the best game plan in the world.
So
but
the interesting thing about Tandem Diabetes Care here is that this, I don't know what the actual relation is to DXCM. Designs, manufactures, and markets insulin pumps for diabetes patients. So I would want to know, are you trading this along with what we just saw from DXCM? I know we did have here Tandem Diabetes Care and Dexcom announce the T-Slim insulin pump. So you're actually getting a PR here this morning on TNDM. What was here's what I'm thinking on TND. Let me give you a little bit here. This is also not one that I follow. I'm going to do my best to kind of give you what I'm seeing here. This right now, this currently, the trend that we're in, I'm not interested anywhere beneath the 200-day, right? So if this stock were to dip beneath the 200-day and really kind of stop trading down here, I might be watching this for a recapture. We've seen how some of those moves can be very bullish. But again, we are in a very, very clear downtrend here until this changes. I think this probably comes in a little bit lower. Let's watch as the price compresses between the 200-day and the trend line here on TNDM. We've been under this for a long time. We just crossed out here. We spent a long time under this, I should say. We just crossed. Now it looks like we're moving back there. So there you go on TNDM. Jay Rice giving us a little bit more here. TNDM, DXCM, DVA, all related to the diabetes and goes opposite of the GLP names. This is kind of what we were talking about last week as well. All right. It is 10 o'clock, and it is 10 o'clock on a Monday. You know what that means. It is time for the one and only Matt Malley. Let's go ahead and give a live trading warm welcome. Happy Monday, Matt. How are you here today? Great to see you again.
Great to see you, Ryan. Hope you had a great weekend.
I did. I'll be honest, though, Matt, you're someone that can kind of empathize with me. I'm really, really waiting for football to start here. I'm struggling. Like, we only have a little bit of sports here in the summer. Like, let's have hockey and basketball and football kick back up so we have some stuff to enjoy on the weekend. How about you? You ready for football season?
Huge. It's funny, even though I'm up here in the Boston area, and I am certainly a Patriots fan, college football, nothing better than college football. My favorite thing in the world. I can't wait. Just a month away now. I
was going to say, we're close. We're in like that home stretch. So in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of break everything down and focus on the market to kind of get us to that finish line. I'd love to hear what you think in terms of the broader market here. I'm going to kind of set the stage for some of the things that I'm looking at, but I really want to hear what you think is going to happen and some of the things that you're actually going to look for here this week. We, of course, have a huge earnings week. Really kind of culminates on Thursday with Apple after the bell, but a large week of earnings here. We saw that the SPY has really kind of come back in. I drew a trend line on here that pretty much goes back to October of 2023. We seem to be holding that. It's in conjunction with the 50-day moving average. Today, we're showing a little bit of strength, but not enough to take us over the recent highs and maybe close the gap here on SPY. What do you think for this week, and what do you see going on with the market?
Yeah, I mean, not only is the S&P tested, or had it tested its at the lows last week, it tested its trend line from October. So was the NDX NASDAQ 100. So it's a critical week. If these things, whether they break below that number or break below those trend lines, or can bounce above them, one way or the other, it should be a key week. And as you mentioned, we got Apple and Amazon on Thursday, then we got Meta Wednesday, and Microsoft, which might even be more important, tomorrow after the close. And what we do have to remember, last quarter we did see. I mean, Google did report some disappointing earnings. Stock went down, market went down a little bit, and then the next week came up, and these companies reported great earnings, and everything was fine. Well, maybe we'll get that again. If we don't, we have a big problem, because the big issue that we've been talking about for a while now is this whole AI. What's the return? What's the ROI? What's the return on investment on all this massive amount of money people have been spending on? These companies have been spending on AI. I mean, Microsoft spends $10 billion a month. Okay, if we don't see that they're going to get a return on that investment somewhat soon, it doesn't have to be well, it needs to be pretty immediate. It doesn't have to be huge immediately, but
Mhm.
a year ago, people were saying that all these companies, these end users, were going to see huge earnings growth from this by this time next year. Well, it's now this time next year, and it hasn't come to fruition. So we're going to need to see that really come to fruition as we hear from these 4 big companies this week. And then, of course, we got the Fed on Wednesday with the what do you call it? The press conference that goes with it.
Mhm.
So a lot of stuff going on this week, and whether we and if again, does this little bounce off the? I'm just looking over here to the side. Markets, again, still a bit higher, but this little bounce can hold great and then rally further. Great. If it rolls back over and takes out that low, which those who follow some technical analysis, you look at MACD charts, that would also give those two indices a negative MACD cross on their weekly charts. That would be a signal of a change in trend. That won't be good. So this is going to be an incredibly important week.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And look, I hate to use the B word here, but I can't help it when we talk about AI and we talk about it maybe bubbling up a little bit towards the top. I certainly don't want to see that pop or anything. I'm with you. I think AI is going to be really helpful, but where are we going to see those returns? When are we going to see those returns? Who is it actually going to help? I'm not sure those answers are clear yet.
Exactly, and yet people talk about how I don't think anybody's arguing that AI is not going to be not going to change the world. The problem is, are we paying way too high a valuation for some of these stocks right now? Is it going to be a more gradual return? Is it going to change the world more gradually than people were thinking, in the last year? And if that's the case, a lot of these stocks are going to have to come back now.
Okay, now as far as what you're playing here, I saw another hot week out of the Mad Mally chat room again last week. Looks like you were playing Palantir. Looks like you were also playing the SQQQs again. What do you have lined up for this week?
Well, the thing, and if you want to check out and look at the chat room for the Matt Maley chat room or the Benzinga chat room, please give Rodrigo a call. He'll be able to help you out there. But the one thing I'm really looking at right now is this whole thing with the Russell 2000. In other words, the IWM, which is the Russell 2000 ETF. And if you look at this thing, it is getting very, very overbought, especially on its weekly chart. And if you look on its weekly RSI chart, extended, its weekly Bollinger Bands chart, which tells you it is now starting to be the 3rd week in a row that it's well more than 2 standard deviations above its 20-week moving average. So even if you're a wild bull on IWM and the Russell 2000 over the next, over the rest of the summer or even over the rest of the year, it's getting ripe for a pullback. So I like negative plays in that area. And again, I'm not a big fan of these people saying, well, lower interest rates are really good for small cap stocks. That's fine. But when we, just like it is with the S&P 500, every time but once in the last 80 years, when interest rates have gone up, have been cut after a significant tightening cycle, like we've just gone through, lower interest rates are actually a signal the economy is going to slow. That's negative for the small cap stocks because they get all their revenues domestically. So I am not a big fan of this trade anyway. But even if I was, I'd be very careful here. And nothing moves in a straight line. This thing's ripe for a pullback. But I think some negative bets in IWM or some of these other small cap plays, TZA, which is a leveraged ETF on the IWM is another play. So we're going to be playing those this week. And I think this thing, no matter what your long-term or even intermediate term feeling is on the small cap space, it's getting ripe for a pullback.
Yeah, so I'm with you there 100%. Got your chart up here for IWM Weekly. Totally see exactly what you're describing. And Matt, I'm glad to hear that because I am someone that holds a lot of small caps in my portfolio. I've been loving the recent move here, but you just hit it on the head. Nothing moves up in a straight line. Time to maybe protect some of that with some downside plays there in case we do have a regression to the mean here. Okay, really good stuff. Do you have a favorite stock this week that's reporting earnings? Is there one that you're, maybe a favorite stock's the wrong way to put it, one that you're watching more than any of the others?
Yeah, I'm really watching Microsoft. Again, okay. Apple and Amazon on Thursday are going to be very, very important. But Microsoft, again, the stock is already starting to roll over a little bit. It is already broken below its trend line going back to last October. It's already seen a negative MACD cross on its weekly chart, et cetera. So that momentum has really come out. And again, they've spent $10 billion every month So I'm worried that, again, their returns at the stock, and it's also very expensive on a historical basis. So I'm worried you could see the stock pull back. Now, at the same time, I'm sorry, it's already pulled back, but that this thing could really accelerate. They're spending so much money. This is a great company. Don't get me wrong. If you own it on a long-term basis, don't sell. I'm not saying to sell it. But what I am saying is that it may, for them to be able to turn around this AI phenomenon into something that's going to make a lot of money for them quickly, because that's what the stock is pricing in. If that's not going to happen, we're going to see more weakness, and it's going to probably have an impact on the entire marketplace.
Okay, I'm with you there. And frankly, I like Microsoft too. I agree with you. I think this is an excellent stock. If this were to miss and maybe come into that 200-day, giddy up. I could be talked into a potential trade there. Okay, Matt, really awesome stuff as usual. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day. As Matt said, I did go ahead and post a link to the Universe webinar in there. Be sure to check out Matt. That chat room is popping every single week. Matt, have a great rest of your week, and we're going to check in with you next Monday, okay?
Sounds great. Thanks, Ryan.
Take care of yourself. That is Matt Malley, the one and only. We are lucky that he stops by here and shares his view on the market. So what did you think, Zunaid? That make you less nervous, more nervous, the same amount of nervous? What did it do for you?
I like the Palantir insight that they had, and especially on the micro that Matt had. I think that's a ticker that I've been kind of waiting, unfortunately, to get back to the 20s, a level that I don't think we'll see again on Palantir anytime soon, unless they really mess things up with earnings or something like that. And of course, the Microsoft thing is a key point to bring up as well. So much money has been invested into AI. You've got to start seeing some returns. We saw Meta that got punished when you had Mark Zuckerberg that went ahead and invested a lot into the virtual reality space. And even though, he was very upfront about it, the stock took a big hit. It's like, hey, we're not going to see these returns for a very long time. It's cool. We're going to yak you on the stock in the near, in the short term. By the way, speaking of getting yacked, don't know if that's a word or not, but I did go and get yacked on my AMD trade. So we had gotten in at about 667 per contract, 2 contracts. I got out at 580s of those contracts. I did go ahead and lose about $100 on that trade per contract. So about $200 down on AMD. And let me go ahead and put up what went wrong is we had a pop, and the bounce just wasn't as much as we'd wanted. So we got in on the retest here around the 142.50 area. The pop went all the way to 143.22s. We needed to go to about 143.71. So we missed it by 50 cents. And it came right back down. It is what it is, which means Tesla is what we take a look at now. That one never retested the 226 area. And now we can go ahead and take a look at NVIDIA to see how that 117 is still acting as resistance, as we cannot get over that one on ticker NVDA.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Really good stuff there. A couple of things here real quick. Ashan, we did take a look at TNDM. Maybe you're on a bit of a delay or something. Both Zunaid and I took a look at that. Not a stock that we totally follow.
Yeah.
You're not being ignored. We absolutely looked at that. But when we have guests too, obviously we're going to be focusing on the guests. That goes without saying.
Yeah. And just to kind of recap, unfortunately, there's not much here that I have for you.
Yeah.
You do have that support level. So what we had called out when we looked at it initially was that $35 for the support area. You're still a couple of bucks away from that. And you are going to expect some resistance again at the 38.60 area, but unfortunately not a ticker that we trade as much. It's not as clean as I would like. 48, I think, is where you can go and put another resistance if it gets above that, but not a ticker I'm familiar with at all. Tesla continues to get above. I think it's it's up 5%. So relative strength, no question about it. As NVIDIA is looking to see if it can pop above 117.
And real quick here, Smoke Tuna, you were calling this one out as it was happening. TWOU. This is moving. This came back in. Looks like it just reclaimed the VWAP. Giddy up. See if we've got some more size there. Market Sniper, looks like you're on this as well. Okay, looks like we got a number of people here trading TWOU. Zunaid, let me go back to your chart here real quick. We also got a question about SoFi. This is popping here, by the way. We'll see if that sets up another trade. That really needs to get moving here. We did get a question here. Tom's asking, any thoughts on SoFi for an earnings play? So none of these, I don't feel great about any of these earnings plays this cycle. I did feel pretty good about AEHR when we got that, but that's not part of any larger thing that we can take something from. I feel like the banks or financial institutions can really kind of go either way here. So I have no position here for SoFi, but what I would really like to see, Tom, in terms of an actual move. Let me see if I can bring you a chart. Well, we'll just go with the trade the pool here real quick. So here's your SoFi. Here's your daily chart. What I'd really like to see here is a move above the blue line here, right? That's going to be your 200-day moving average. We also have highs that are up here at about 807. So I'd really like to see SoFi trying to build and then maybe move through those areas. That could be our first move towards double digits. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen with the earnings print here. We're going to wait and see. I noticed that it's selling off here ahead of that. We're going to get this here in the morning. So we'll see here on SoFi, but I got no angle either way on whether or not you should be in this for the print. If anyone else is out there trading SoFi, would love to hear it. Would love for you to share your thoughts here with Tom. What else are we taking a look at here? Glenn taking a look at Tesla. Let's look at that. 233.12 next here for Tesla. So Glenn, it looks like you got a couple more points of upside here. Tesla, if this comes back to the VWAP, might have an opportunity there.
Come on.
The trade desk looks like this is trying to curl back up. I still think there's a move here at 100 for the trade desk. See if we can get above that and break out from 100 level. Not today, but coming at some point here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else. I mean, the only on the future side, you've got the $5,500 that's continuing to hold a support on the ES, and we'll see if it. Yeah, you also got the previous close there, and you've got the whole number, and it did act as support in the past as well. So a lot of things working in its favor.
Dennis Brito, interesting name here, asking about YIBO or YIBO, just in case I'm pronouncing that correctly. Do you think that it is going up? Well, I observe what the price is doing to determine whether or not a stock is going up. I don't have to think it. I'll know for sure. But what I think you're asking is, do I think this will go up later on here today? I'll say, given the chart here, I could absolutely see us curling up. And at a minimum, I could see us really kind of curling back towards this VWAP here. Now, the thing is, and Smoke Tuna, I would love to get your thoughts on this. Sure looks like this MACD chart here. Remember, we're running a MACD on the 3-minute. It actually looks like this histogram might want to expand a little bit more. So one of the things we could watch for here, does this histogram really kind of tighten up? Does the price move back to the VWAP? If we get that, maybe we do get a pop here. We have a very decent range. Top end of this is going to be what, 780s? We're currently at 520. So if this stock gets rolling here, this could very easily move towards the top end of the range. Volume should tell the story. We can also keep an eye on the MACD here. Tuna seems to be busy with TWOU, which we were just taking a look at. Looks like this continued to the upside. Indeed. So once we recaptured that VWAP, look at what this did. This continued to move to the top end of the range. Maybe we'll get the same thing there with YIBO. Here we go. Smoke Tuna, appreciate you. Watch if it can hold above VWAP. So that's going to be the first thing that we want to look for. And I love this, Tuna, because you're giving this to us before it's materializing. Let's see if this stock can move back to the VWAP. If we can and maybe hold above it, perhaps that puts this in play for a move towards the top end of the range. Really good stuff there, group. Sorry, I was moving around between those tickers too quickly. And were you guys talking about coin earlier, Zunaid? Did I see you bringing that up earlier?
Yeah, it was kind of like in no man's land for me, but now it's kind of popped way down, or dropped way down rather. It broke the 250 area. So here's let me go back.
And I was going to say, the reason I asked you that, Zunaid, is because I do see some coin options kind of flowing through here now, and they're puts. They're to the put side.
Interesting that they didn't come in earlier, or interesting to see where they go from here. But
maybe they're just extending this move. Anyway,
so you had, we talked about how the 249 level was the one to watch. You had resistance there, was holding on its support. Then we went ahead and finally cracked, but we cracked hard. I mean, the volume picked up. It's the second highest of the day, obviously in this early morning session. Now we go ahead and see if it comes back to test this 248.55 area or so. If it does, interested in a short there, but my stop loss would probably be about $2 to $3. So something to keep in mind if you are trying to trade Coinbase, as it does have puts coming in. You've got the short trade here. You've also got the bounce from the previous close of about 242.93 areas. So a lot happening on that.
Okay. We shall see. We shall see. DXCM, that is continuing to hold its move higher here. Don't really see a tradable move there, though. YBO looks like that fell out a little bit. See if it bounces right here. It's trying to hold 5. We'll see if it's able to do that. Let's take a look at Tesla. I want to roll through some of the bigger names here. Tesla's holding higher here. It looks like Apple's back to the VWAP, although Apple's still at its VWAP there. About Netflix. Sorry, let me go and roll through some of these. Zunaid, if you got one, let us know.
You're good.
LGVN looking good, you're saying? LGVN back to that VWAP here on LGVN. So this is interesting. So Tuna, we did not quite get to that 350, but we had the exact same bounce that we were talking about at 360 instead of 350. Now that we're here at the VWAP, let's see if we can actually hold above that YI. This is going to be tough for me. YIBO breaking now to the downside. Let's wait for this. This, to me, no long until this thing can settle in here. That MACD histogram that we talked about continuing to open up and expand to the downside here.
Trying to see if there is a news on Coinbase. It's a pretty big drop.
Oh, are we thinking? Well, I noticed that Bitcoin moved down. Now there was Bitcoin news over the weekend. I guess Trump was talking about Bitcoin being an important part of his ticket. That's moving Bitcoin. RFK did the same thing. I actually think that might have been over the weekend as well.
It was same conference, I believe.
Same conference. So there you go. That Bitcoin conference also, by the way, helping some of those other Bitcoin names. We talked about IREN. Last week, IREN. That's actually lower here. Bummer. That did move higher here. I'm out of that one now with some small gains, but bummer on IREN. That's moving lower here.
I don't think Kamala went ahead and spoke at the conference. I know that, there were news that reports or whatever about her team looking to get more information and maybe have a stance that was more positive on the Bitcoin, on crypto. But Fairchild, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think she spoke at the conference. I'm also interested to see. Okay, there you go. I'm interested to see who she has as her running mate. I think the roll call of her being the nominee is either August 1st or August 7th. I have to look at that up to be confirmed. And I'm sure after she gets the nomination officially, she'll be picking her VP. I'm always following poly markets and, see what's going on in that part of the world.
And one of the things that we had talked about as far as Bitcoin goes is how that's likely going to play a bigger role in this cycle. And I think one of the things that we can see already is that is in fact the case. That is clearly going to happen here. So look for some more Bitcoin headlines liable to affect the price of Bitcoin as well as some of the stocks tied to Bitcoin from here to the election, but then also after the election, depending on that. So I'm with you there. I think Bitcoin is going to continue to be a bigger factor coming up in this November.
Let's see what else. I think I'm trying to see what the odds were now because I'm an odds guy. Josh Shapiro and Mark Kelly. Those are the two favorites to be the VP. But again, I don't think that's going to be settled for at least another week. Who knows? Let's see if there's anything else happening in the markets that I can talk about.
Lo and behold, the INDI, the stock that I was asking Jay Rice about earlier, appearing on the relative volume scanner. So this seems to move higher with some of those other names. INDI. I don't really see a new trade here for this, just kind of noticing it off the relative volume scanner. Really, the only thing that I see on the scanner here is TWOU. Shout out to our group here. You guys were all over this. I wasn't. But you guys were all over this one. Here you go. Smoke tuna. We've talked about this a lot recently, especially with this market. Take your gains, not a long term. Don't hold it. When you get moves like this, Tuna, you called this one really awesome. I mean, we were talking about this here at 216, got 60 plus cents on this. Take your gains. With you on that one. Anthony, let's talk about this. It's a really good discussion here for the group. And I'm curious, Zunaid, I'm curious to know your opinion, of course, but also I'm curious to know the opinion of the group here. Of all of the earnings calls coming this week, so not just today, but this week, what are we excited for? All right, so I'm going to help you guys out. Here is the earnings graphic. Big shouts to Alyssa, who creates these for us all the time. Makes it really, really helpful for following what's going on here. My favorite, always going to be Apple. Apple's earnings are probably the stock that I've been watching the most. But honestly, to me, this one's easy. Thursday's the big day here. Amazon, Apple, Intel, Coinbase, DraftKings. I think I care about those more than any other company on here. With all due respect, I know Matt was really interested in Microsoft, and he makes a really good point about that. Also, Starbucks. That should be an interesting report given where we are on the chart. But as you can see, quite a bit of earnings here. We're curious to know what you folks think are going to be the big ones here this week. You guys are currently busy with LGVN. So we did. Okay, so Smoke Tuna, last time we took a look at this one, we were talking about this maybe being weak at the VWAP. Now we've built and moved higher on the VWAP. Let's see if LGVN breaks out here from 425. A pullback towards that 4 level. What do you think? Is that buyable here for a potential trade?
$4.47. Sorry.
Matt, where on Benzinga can we find that graphic? Only in Pro. You know what? No, it's actually not been added to Pro yet, and I've wanted them to do that. Any one of our Twitter accounts or X accounts, you should be able to pull that and find it. You should probably also be able to find it on .com. I'll ask Alyssa where she puts it, but I'm pretty sure she distributes it internally, and then all of the workers use that in any capacity. By the way, you had asked me earlier thoughts on Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be a stud. And as a Bears fan, I am so effing excited to finally have a competent passing attack here in Chicago.
I don't see any other.
Sorry.
I was just taking a look at Tesla and see if there's any other ways to go about it, but no, I mean, it hasn't ever really retested back to 226, and it just kind of continues to go to the upside on that one. I did take an L on the one trade that I took, which was on AMD. Tesla, no retest there, so no trade for me. You've also got Apple that hasn't broken out of the 220 level. You had Nvidia that hasn't gone out of the resistance of 117. So still kind of waiting. Nothing really happening in the stocks that I'm taking a look at.
I got something here. Another great question here from the group. Amanda, you jumped ahead, I think. I don't think. Oh, no. I beg your pardon. You did not jump ahead. Amanda wants to talk about EA here. They report tomorrow after the close. Okay. I'm wondering what happens for good or bad earnings. NCAA football is just everything right now. College football 25. If you guys have opened up, X, you have probably seen it. She is exactly right. I don't think I've heard anybody talking about any other video games other than College Football 25. There's tons of content on X of people playing this. Earnings tomorrow. Here's my only question. Are we going to get numbers that affect the bottom line as early as tomorrow? I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. Now, looking at the chart here, good Lord, this looks like a potential breakout spot. Does it not? Looks like we've got about what? Where's my mouse? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times where we tested this upper level here. I've got this at 140. I mean, we could call this what? 148, call it 151. This area here between 147 and 151, some extreme resistance going all the way back to 2018. But it's got the catalyst behind it. What are those sales like? Are they going to exceed the benchmark for it? I would imagine College Football 25 had a high bar to begin with. I'm with you, though. No position on this. My gut tells me this moves to the upside. My gut tells me that we get some big numbers out of here, and this moves to the upside. No position. I haven't put my money where my mouth is, but that's what I would say here. What say you folks? Do you play earnings, Zunaid? I can't remember.
No, not really, not anymore. And by the way,
Okay.
I gotta hop here in 2 minutes. So if you want to take a quick little break, you're welcome to. Or also,
yeah, I'll be right back. Just give me.
Yep, no worries. All right, let me go ahead and share my charts and Slack my buddy real quick. 1 moment. All right, cool. Nothing really happening there. Let's go back to the so the ES is I might have to set an alert here and go short in case it does go ahead and decide to drop here later today. Yeah, wait for the if it wants to go ahead and drop below 5,500 on the ES, I'd be interested in going short via Apex on that side. But cool, Ryan, you got it.
I got it, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate everything that you do for us, dude. All right.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
All right. Zunaid is out. He has a prior obligation. That means it's just you and me, folks. There we go. There we go. Let's try to center it up. Let me see if I can actually get a little bit better. We want to do this. No. Here we go. But how do I reverse this? How do I flip this? There's got to be a way. Is this? No. Well, guys, maybe we just will do this. We'll just do this. We'll keep it like this for the rest of the day here. Okay. What are you folks taking a look at? I know we don't have, we're lost Zunaid here for the rest of the show. We will keep going to 11 though. Let me know what you folks are taking a look at. Let me know what you folks are trading. I'm getting word that NISN is moving here. Oh my goodness. This is another one, Chinese name, being brought to us by someone in our happy hour group, has a ton in cash. Stocks moving here. No position in this one for me, unfortunately. Russell is smashed. So, okay. So here we go. So that IWM, remember we asked Matt about this. He said he liked the IWM really kind of coming back in. It's been on a huge move recently. That's what we're seeing here today. Let's take a look at the market as well. So SPY kind of holding there, holding a little bit higher here. What are the Qs doing? Qs doing the same thing, holding a little bit higher, but really not extending their gains. How about that VIX? VIX currently at 1686, so really not accelerating on the VIX either. Okay. Not terrible there. Let's see what else you folks taking a look at here. If EA gives us some initial numbers on the game, it'd be great. That's what I'm wondering too, Crassy. Thinking about it, maybe to do with guidance instead of numbers. Yeah, all of the stocks, the moves from the companies that report, the guide has really kind of been the big issue there. Sorry, I'm just catching up on the chat here. Christmas season. Russell smoked. PLTR would be nice to chat about. We can absolutely do that. Here's the thing on PLTR, not a popular opinion right now. I really would like PLTR to come in a little bit more. I probably would I would probably nibble on this for a long term at 25. We come into 25. That's where that 50-day moving average is. But man, oh man, what I would give to be able to nibble on this to the long term, to the long side for the long term, back down at about $20, 20, 21 bucks, which is where that 200-day is. This one, very much like Costco, one of those stocks where I just seem to miss it when it comes in on weakness. So we'll see. Costco too, would love for that to come in. We'll keep adding on that one. Jane asking about BMR here. Anyone else in BMR still holding it here, but it ain't looking good. Beamer on weakness here. I would say if it breaks this area down here, Jane got that at about 5. I'd be out here. Break a 5, I'd be out. Looks like we're about to test that. There we go. Snap and a move lower here on BMR. This is exactly what we didn't want to see. Jane, hope you're safe. Hope you're safe in there. Lynn's asking, great to see Zunaid is 13 on vacation. Remember, 13 told us last week, both today and tomorrow, he has family obligations. Good old family man. We give him some time off there. He will be back. And actually, I don't know if he'll be around for happy hour today. Let me see. Get a response. We shall see. I don't know if he's going to be around for happy hour. Okay. Let's see what else you folks taking a look at. LGVN continuing to move up. So interesting. We moved above the VWAP. We actually built above the VWAP. We back tested it and held. Now we're moving higher here. 430's got some size around it. I think I saw, some more there at 435. We'll see if these fall here. 435 right in here. Yes, sir. Good stuff there. Interesting take on EA. Any other stock trends to pop in anticipation of college football other than DraftKings? So that's the other one, right? The gambling is going to be off the hook for DraftKings here. The last time we made a DraftKings thesis, it was for the Euros and the Copa, and it seemed to work out. DraftKings now has traded back down towards those lows here. Be worried on a break of 34 here. The one thing I will say to watch for DraftKings, a recapture of the 200-day, I'd probably try to trade that again, just like we did. NIPG. Okay, sorry, you guys are on something. I'm a little bit slow here today. Here you go. NIPG. So this one's ripping here. What's going on with this? Let me see if I can pull up news for this one. What's going on here? I don't see any news here. Saturday, July 27th. No, I don't see any news on this one. Up 37% here. NIP Group. NIP Group. Is this like the old school? Oh, is this an IPO? Did this just come to market? Isn't the old ninjas in pajamas, is it? No, NIPG. An IPO. Okay, you got it, Tuna. So here you go. So this IPO ripping here looks like the high that we had, from Friday? Looks like we tested that, right? About 13 here. Came back in. What is this for? I'm not even sure what this company is. Let me see if I can look this up. Also, by the way, this is one of the other things I really like Benzinga Pro for. Sometimes people bring up stocks I've never heard of, and I can very quickly figure out what that stock does. NIP Group is an esports organization with operations across Asia, Europe, and South America. It operates 2 esport brands, Ninjas in Pajamas. I was right. This is the old Ninjas in Pajamas, NIP Heaton, back from the CrowdStrike days. Boy, I'm dating myself there. And eStar Gaming. It's a PC console esports brand. eStar Gaming is a mobile esport. I'll be honest, the esport plays haven't been great. What's the difference with this one? Why is this one going to survive? How do they make money? They've got $7.5 million in cash, make about $24 million in revenue a quarter. Market cap's $1 billion. It is not a cheap stock at all. What's the thesis here? That's what I'd like to know. What's the thesis here? Let you guys figure that one out. We'll take a look at some other stocks while we're figuring that out. Chewy, you want to know if this is a Chewy buy point? We should be able to determine that right from the chart here. So this is definitely one of the areas that we've consolidated in. I'd like this a little bit closer to 24. I think you probably could start nibbling here. I wouldn't go too big because if this stock does kind of fall and retest that 200-day, I'd like to add there, and I don't want to be in too deep to be able to do that. We're really kind of trading sideways here. We're above the 50, but that test is likely to show up here. Chewy, is this a buy point, Gunner? I can't say that it is. If you're nibbling on this for the long term, maybe. I think I like it a little bit closer to 24, though. TWOU, did that get even more? Oh my God, I shouldn't have even taken this off the screen. Huh, Tuna? TWOU ripping to the highs, coming back into the VWAP, giving you another trade there. 250 to 3. Oh, giddy up. I hope you guys traded this. I took this off my screen too much here today. Hopefully you folks did all right with this one. Glenn saying nibble here on Chewy. Okay, Glenn. See, because I'd be waiting for an ad around that 50 or 200 day if we move back in. Long term, still very bullish on Chewy. Let's see what else you guys looking at. IPA getting a spike. We've seen that one move. I'm going to come back to TWOU here. Here's IPA. It looks like low volume, isn't it? SLRX getting mentioned. This was Jay Wild. Didn't you mention this last week? This thing really kind of took off here. By the way, Ninjas in Pajamas, NIPG, this moved back to the VWAP and we're bouncing here. This super spread of almost 30 cents at this point. But this did move down to the VWAP. What else we got here? How's Tesla holding up? Tesla's still holding near the highs here. Apple retraced some of its move, trying to go back to the highs. We'll see. Tell you what, market doesn't look like that's going to happen here. SPY still showing some weakness as we move to the lows, lower lows here intraday on the SPYs as well. What are we doing on the Qs? Qs a little bit stronger here, kind of holding up. And IWM still pulling back here. So the Matt Malley, he just came on here and gave that to you. That's amazing. As soon as he got off, we actually moved lower here on that IWM. Gave it to you live. Got it on 13. You are carrying like a champ, right? No problem. My shoulders are wide, Lynn. That's not a problem at all. You guys, honestly, the reality behind everything here is that you folks make it real easy. You guys are all constantly looking and scanning stuff. If anything, my biggest problem is that I'm looking at too many things. Very rarely am I looking at too few things, too many things. That is a problem I will take. Believe me. LUMN, this is another one that we saw move last week. That's holding higher here on LUMN. AVXL also off the scanner. That doing the same thing. That's holding higher here. That actually is still above its 200-day. That looking pretty good. Yeah, Ninjas in Pajamas bounce up. VWAP. How's BMR doing after that recent plunge? We did not recover. That one looks a little weak for the rest of the day here. I do see a lot of penny stocks. So you penny players that were on NLSP earlier, big disappointment there. LIPO came back to penny stock territory. That kind of disappointed. Tivik was another one of your penny stocks there. That really hasn't taken off yet. Still kind of trading sideways here. COMM, this is another one that we were looking at from this morning. That continuing to grind higher here, but I didn't see a great entry on that trade. See if LGVN is setting up for us. What do we think here? LGVN, a VWAP test. What do we think here? Catch up on the chat here real quick. Nick, good morning, man. I'm only by myself right now. To be totally fair, we had Zunaid all morning. We also had Matt Malley sharing some time out of his day. So I've had plenty of help here, but it's great to see you here this morning, Nick. Hope you are doing well. Hope you're enjoying your summer. NNE got monkey hammered. I don't even know if I know what monkey hammered actually means. But let's take a look at the chart there. One of my trader buddies made like 6 figures on this stock. I want to tell Tim Melvin that though. Here is NNE. This that backside of that move, that's really kind of come back in. Let's see. OKLO. This is another recent one that we've taken a look at. That's back above 9. IREN, that's one of those Bitcoin names. That's still giving it up. Yep. WINT popping back. Okay. Windtree. This was from Friday, right? Indeed. We're right back up to that consolidation area from Friday. This was a consolidation area from the pre-market. This actually gave our breakdown. Our first real big breakdown was right from this level. Definitely at a key level here. What I'd like to see for this to really kind of get some more juice to the upside here, maybe a move and a build above 850. Call it 850 there on WINT. TWOU. Jay Summers, you're in and out on that one. A quick little scalp there. This continuing to move higher here. I think you picked a good one in the scalp. Volume looks pretty good on that as well. I think if we can set up some other bigger trades here. See what happens after we get some of those earnings. Tilray is reporting tonight. Anyone trading any of the pot names here? Tilray reporting tonight, right under its 200-day. I'd be a little bit worried about that. TNDM, you guys were mentioning that earlier here. This is actually on the relative volume scanner, but moving lower here. This, to me, to my eye, looks like this wants to retest 35.5. Look out below if that breaks. I think we probably go to the 200-day. Some unusual options in STNG. Okay, Robert. So STNG seeing some unusual option flow, though. Scorpio Tankers. Or was it SNTG? STNG? Did I get the ticker right there, Robert? You typed STNG. I just want to make sure I get it right. Let's see. I do see some flow here today. Mixture of calls and puts, all for the 7/29 expiry. Oh, no, excuse me. That was the day it was traded. No, these are all for the January. Most of them are for the January expiry. I'm not sure what to make of that one. Let's see here. Amanda, here's a little Tim Melvin angle for you. The pot names are okay, but trade the names of the banks allowed to take the pot money. They're in fantastic positions. So this is you're absolutely right on this. And this is actually something that if you have attended any of the Benzinga Cannabis conferences, you've seen that a number of the vendors that go on exhibit there try to solve this exact problem that Amanda's talking about. And then the ones that are ready for that, the ones that are able to kind of take that, they're already set up. I don't have any of those tickers handy here, but this is a pretty good spot for those. And you know what? Maybe we'll ask Tim about that. I suspect Tim's not a pot guy. But you know what, though? We'll see if we can get a funny reaction. We'll ask him about pot banks. Let me actually take some notes here. Let's surprise him a little bit. That would be something else. What if we get a really crazy answer out of that one? That'd make my day. My best friend owns a very successful pot store, and those banks are printing. That I can totally see. Does the rescheduling solve the banking issue? I don't think so. I don't think that it does. I think it helps, but I think because it's still a specific schedule. What is it? Schedule 3, 1? I have to check which. I'm not really up on my different schedules for drugs, but I don't think that position is solved yet. Or I don't think that issue, is solved. But what are the types of banks? Community banks? Yeah, we're gonna ask about that. We're gonna try and figure that out. It might give me a little homework assignment as well. I could ask some of the cannabis crew too. Let me do some homework for you guys. Crow, I do like your mention here of MSOS. ETF would be a decent way to play that. Kind of lowering your risk by playing a ETF. DART, that's not a ticker though, is it? No, I think I know what company you're referencing there though. I actually might have some swag from them. That's neither here nor there. AEHR back to the highs. Let's see if we can bust above 20. This gets interesting if it moves above 20, by the way, on AEHR. Let's take a look at some of the other names there. So INDI, that's that small semiconductor. That's moving back down. How's ON doing? On Semiconductor still at the highs. NVIDIA holding in there. AMD. Rolling over here. It's just kind of holding in there. Beamer, did we recover at all? Okay, Beamer's trying to retake 5. We'll see if that sets up. NUWE. Another one here. Was that what you folks were trading that one? No, right? All right. See what the Twitter streets give us here today. Gotcha. Really? I don't really see. Are all my trader friends on vacation? I don't know. know. It's even Twitter seems a little bit light here. Let's talk about IWM here real quick, because I'm kind of wondering myself here. Let me go back to this IWM. So what do we think for trades here? I know we just talked to Matt. We talked about a potential pullback for the IWM after this big move here. We are kind of making a double top here around 225. That's definitely an upside level to take a look at here. But what do you think on a pullback here for IWM? What kind of levels do you folks want to see? Do you want it to come all the way back down to 212, which is the horizontal breakout level that we have marked here on the chart? Do you want it to come back into maybe 216, the bottom of this first regressive move? What do you want to see here out of IWM for a potential trade? Or are you just bearish on small caps in general? You want to see this crater? Would love to hear how you folks are taking a look at this. While I threw that question out there, Smoke Tuna asking BCRX for a swing, BioCryst Pharmaceuticals. Smoke Tuna, you tell me what's going to happen here at 823, maybe even call it $8, and I'll tell you whether or not we should take that. I do like this. I think you're right. I think this came up off the bottom. I think we've got the RSI testing possibly overbought here. You're always saying don't buy strength, so maybe add on a pullback here, add this on weakness for a potential move through the 500-day, which is the purple line. Top end of the consolidation area right in here. God, I kind of like where this is at. Not thinking that I'm going to buy it right now, but on weakness, Tuna, yeah, I could see this. Do we think biotechs are going to kind of turn around? Are we expecting more data and more biotechs to end up working out? What about M&A in the biotech field? You're giving me some more got more questions than answers right there. By the way, ninjas in pajamas. Someone call Heaton, because this is moving here again. Maybe we're going to take 13 out on this recent IPO. Okay, Elon. So you're looking at probably 216, 217 for the long on IWM. Okay, so you're looking for a decent little pullback there, but not a complete breakdown. I think I like that. I'll take that. You're looking, that puts you right in here, right? 216, 217. So you're basically looking at the bottom end of this move. So we don't want to set new lows here. That makes a lot of sense to me, Elon. See if we get that. I might grab a leap on IWM around 216, 218. Looks good on daily and if lower rates. So Z Forte. Okay, so love that. Love that you're factoring in the macro there into your trade plan as well. Looks like you like the same area on a potential pullback as Elon. That syncs with the chart very, very well. And then you're thinking, hey, lower rates, probably good for the IWM. This does look good on the daily. I'll be honest. Looking at this myself, it sure looks like this wants to take the next move higher here. That's what it feels like to me. We'll see if we end up getting that. VKTX worth watching. Good morning, Crow. Good to see you here this morning as well. Jay, I saw your comment earlier. I don't think I addressed it. We recently had earnings here from VKTX. This has been on a huge move here. VKTX down about 4.5%, 5% here. Jay, you had said earlier you think all the dips on this are going to get bought. I think you might be right on this one. And one of the things that we want to take a look at here real quick, I wanted to draw this, right? This trend line in here, we recently broke this. Now it looks like we're back testing this trend line. This holds here. Let's call it 62 or maybe even 60. Is 60 a little too low? Yeah, 60 might be a little too low. Let's call it 62. If this holds 62 here, maybe swing this one into tomorrow. I'd be curious to know what you folks think here, VKT, especially you, Jay. Bitcoin, you're mentioning Bitcoin here at the bottom. Bitcoin on the lows of the day. Wow, it gave up that 70K as well. Gave up 70K as well. So some of those Bitcoin plays, no good. NIPG, I'll tell you what, you guys that flagged ninjas in pajamas here today, I did not think I'd be saying that here today. Ripping to the highs. I'm gonna date myself again here. Does anyone remember the old school frag or die video? Iron Maiden on the soundtrack there, Fear of the Dark. Let me know if you remember that video. That was a Counter-Strike. Those were the Counter-Strike glory days here. I'm getting all types of nostalgic vibes from watching Ninjas in Pajamas this morning. Wild stuff. Let me go back real quick to trade the pool here. I'm going to flip around some of these tickers a little bit quicker. We'll see if we get another trade here. Got about 7 minutes left on the day. We'll be back tomorrow. I remember Fraggle Rock. I don't remember that one. You're going to give me something to look up, though, aren't you? Thinking about it. You're going to give me something to look up here. ON, this continuing its strength here. So on semiconductor, this was actually a nice little move through that 200-day too. This one I think probably goes higher here. TWOU. Boy, I just totally butchered that. My goodness. That is not an easy ticker for me to type in for whatever reason. Support 240 or 230. Okay, so you're looking for another potential bounce here. 230 is right here. 240 right in here. We'll see if we get that here, Tuna. You guys are talking about some old school television shows. You just love to see that. You just love it. Seeing some Tesla calls come in here. Tesla's still at the high end of the range for today. Interesting to note there. Goldman Sachs at the lows. How's SoFi doing? I know we asked financials taking a little bit of a break here. Serve at its VWAP. That was Serve Robotics. Maybe we'll move through the highs here on Serve. LGVN. Watch for a $4 hold. See if this can move back through. I got some size there at 405 on LGVN. Just breaking down a little bit here, though. Tesla, NVIDIA. Seeing some options. Nothing's really notable, though. This all just kind of seems orderly. What's the volume on SPY here? Having another low volume day. Let's check it out. 11 million shares. No, this is not terrible. I mean, I think it's probably going to finish under the average, but it's not awful early on here. YIBO. We talked about that one a little bit ago. It ended up breaking down. Has since recaptured 5 on YIBO. Coin, sort of nasty off the Bitcoin move. Yeah. And actually, Coin, let's see here real quick. Jay, are you trading any of these Bitcoin names? Coin has earnings in 3 days. Are you doing an earnings trade on that? Can't remember I think you told us, but I can't remember what you told us. And as long as Coin holds... We're coming down. As long as Coin holds 235, I'm not terribly concerned, especially if those earnings are good. You know, we talked a little bit about guidance there. I'd be curious to know if any of these companies talk about the next election cycle being centered around Bitcoin or Bitcoin. Maybe I should rephrase Bitcoin being a part of it. Be curious to know if they talk about any of that. See a whole lot. Options. I'm seeing some Apple options. Those are calls. I had Coin before I went on vacation, 218, 250. I was in a risk reversal, no position now. Okay. Hopefully your vacation was good, Jay. Get away from that Arizona heat, somewhere a little bit more manageable instead of 120 degrees where the sun is like 10 feet from your head. Hopefully the hip's doing well too. Let me know if you got back on the golf course yet. Okay, don't see a whole lot going on. It seems like kind of a boring morning here. I mean, unless you hit NIPG or TWOU, those were our best movers here today, right? And TWOU, shout out Tuna. I think this might have a bounce zone coming up here. Not a whole lot otherwise today. VERO, penny stock going for dollar territory. AVTR, someone mentioned this one earlier here. This looks like this is going to continue to move higher. I don't know. LIPO, this is another. Ooh. So maybe we're getting a curl here on LIPO. I've got VWAP here at 109. If we cross through that, the pre-market high is where we double topped 150. So gosh, that would actually be a decent setup. A move through VWAP here, setting up a potential entry at 110, move to 150. That'd be decent. We'll see if we end up getting that. Abbott, you dip by Abbott in the pre-market. Abbott Labs, this actually did come into that that $100 support has been pretty good there on ABT. Damn, Jay, where were you earlier? I could have used this one. It's just a typical Monday. Wish it was Sunday. Am I right, Smoke Tuna? Robert saying a lot of sideways motion here. Imagine many are waiting on earnings. I would imagine you're correct there, especially this week, right? Especially this week. Is Amazon? How's Amazon doing into earnings? It's just kind of holding in there. I would love to hear if you folks are taking any earnings plays this week on any of the stocks. I'd love to hear about it. Love to hear about what your thesis is, why you're taking it, and what you hope for that. That's going to be it here for us today. Sorry, it did kind of dry up here. Big shout out to Zunaid for joining us here. Shout out to all of the chat for doing such a great job with calls. We'll be back at this again tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and we will see you.